Thanks, Lucy, and good evening, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here at my first Geoawesomeness meet, and first of many, no doubt. And looking forward to getting Geoawesome with you all this evening. So very good, very happy to be speaking to you all today. So I'm just going to take you through a short talk on location intelligence for software developers and the role of the distributor. So where we come in at Grey Matter and how we help development partners integrate here location data and services. We very much have a connector role, so we help put people in front of solutions and get them in front of the right ways of achieving their goals. So let's take a look. I'm just going to start by introducing people to Grey Matter. We're obviously here in the UK. Maybe you haven't had the pleasure of dealing with us. One of our main corporate headlines is that we are devoted to developers. This is the bread and butter of our business. Very much involved in the development community, and it's my pleasure to watch partners grow. So it's very easy for me as we just go through a little bit about Grey Matter. We are development ISV specialists. It's easy for me to remember how long we've been in business for because I'm also 38 years old, right? So it's nice and easy. I can't forget that. Getting close to 40. We have 38 years of experience in serving the developer markets. So we started off writing programs onto, I'm told, 5.5-inch floppies. That is pretty extreme. Back in the 80s, and right up now to the current era, where we no longer have a warehouse. We're no longer writing stuff on disk. It's all public cloud and SaaS solutions. So this is where we come in. We've got a significant partnership with Microsoft that forms the core of our business. So there you've got some of our accreditations in terms of what we do, and we're one of the 3 Azure specialists for ISVs in the UK. So we very much, as well as helping them with the location side, so a lot of what I do is helping location services development, as the here specialist at Grey Matter is also to work on that Azure specialism as well. And there's a lot of crossover as we talk to our partners. And we are recognized for our technical and commercial enablement of ISVs to access the Azure cloud platform. I think that's very much the same with here, although there's no formal accreditation. We are here distributor. We have a dedicated team for mapping services, and we're always growing our portfolio of vendors and our platform of partners. And we are dedicated to selling location services, whatever that may be. And we also run events and webinars for the community and have an annual partner day where we work on some of those Microsoft pieces as well. So we do work as a professional IT services provider as well. So as well as helping customers with licensing, we also have this services aspect where we may also look at the migration piece. Perhaps they have data that needs to be stored. At the moment, one of our things is IoT project design. So if you'll have an IoT project, maybe you're at the beginning stages of this, we can help progress this for you. So this is obviously massive as we keep up with the trends of today and the things that our customers are looking at. We're very much customer led. What are customers doing? This is what we need to focus on, and whether we need to operate with health checks on the public cloud as well. So there's quite a lot that we do. So I want to talk to you about what we do at the mapping team, give you a flavor of the kind of things that I'm involved in on a daily basis, take you through a typical inquiry, what comes in, is it a call, has somebody put a comment on our YouTube, maybe they're on our web chat, it can come in via very many different avenues. How do we deal with that inquiry? How do we establish what their problems are? How do we resolve those problems? And of course, it's being Geoawesome or supplying them with location intelligence a little bit more formally. So what we would see really with a typical inquiry is a software services company or SaaS provider. They're looking to see how location intelligence can solve their business problems. They don't always know exactly what they need, but they know what their problems are. They know what they've got to solve to drive their business goals. So typical customers, that can range from a startup, very early days, very much relying on investments to get them over the line, funding, whatever they need to do, and they're investigating their options. They've got this great idea, and it's one of our pleasures to sort of incubate and nurture these companies when they come to us as startups and watch them grow. I think that's one of the pleasures of my job, and also to see them at this early stage where they're really wanting to nail on their key partners in order to get over the line. And that can lead up to the more established players that we see as well. And typically they'll be looking to strengthen their market position and make progressions. And how they do that is by adding new functionality and very much following the markets. So this is where we can come in as well from that angle and tell them what they need to do, what they need to implement, and what's possible as we explore the art of the possible, which is a big thing about what we do. So whether we've got a startup or whether we're dealing with a major supplier, typically the first thing that we would look to do is understand their service, understand their solution. Without this understanding of the solution, really you're not really relating to them. So that's the first goal. And then only then will we go into their location and services requirements in more detail. So that's the first thing. That's one of the first takeaways. So understanding is key. And the framework that I've gone for with this presentation is to just show some of the problems that customers will typically have. And I've organized that into the key phases of logistics. Okay, so there are 3 key phases of logistics. The first one here we're covering is planning in advance. You need to have good planning. A lot of customers will be doing planning. Maybe they write it down on paper, or maybe they have one spreadsheet and everything gets organized. A lot of companies are on digital transformation journeys. And this is where planning in advance, digitalizing this is the first key phase of logistics. So our partner that we're speaking about today here, they specialize in mapping the road network with supreme accuracy. Their data is designed to be used in the self-driving vehicles of the future. We know that they're mapping out those real world conditions, and we know that they're constantly evolving their services to meet real world needs. They have a very tight partnership with their OEM base. So we know that they're developing. And typical problems that come up during this initial discussion, we're going to look at these problems here. So maybe a typical problem would be, I have my own private roads, my own depots. They're not on public maps. Not everything is on Google Maps or Here Maps or Bing Maps or whatever maps. It's just not there. It's private data. It's unpaved roads. It's delivery depots. It's things that aren't there. So companies might want to know, how can we make use of this data in the solutions that we build? Because if we just rely on what's available publicly, it's not the complete picture. So typically they may have a large bulk of data and they need to geolocate, but they need to know how to do this cost effectively. They need to make sure they can store it. So this is another problem that typically we'll see, and this is quite a common problem. Big data is very much a thing. And one of the key things about location intelligence is often just taking those locations, just plotting them on a map or standardizing the addresses, and that's fairly standard. I need routing for trucks. This is quite a popular one. Google doesn't have truck routing. There are a whole load of additional business challenges from truck routing. Accurate ETAs, this is another key one. We're all hungry for accurate ETAs these days. We all want to know where our food, our shoes, our televisions, whatever we're ordering these days, where is it? When does it get to me? I'm a busy person. I need to know. I have to plan multiple deliveries for one driver. This is very, very common. I have to find which drivers should do which pickup or delivery. So there's a few different levels of sophistication there in some of those problems. But the planning stage is key, and there's some of the problems. So I'll just take you to the next phase of logistics. Now, this is the monitoring and support aspect. What to do while my vehicles are on the road. How do I manage? One of the key things about asset management and tracking, one of the key problems that we see today. So customers will have many drivers out in the field, and they need to manage this complexity. Okay, maybe they already have tracking, but maybe they're not doing much with it. I mean, tracking on its own isn't particularly very interesting. So really, to become sophisticated and to really show some of the power is to monitor and support the activities properly. So the typical questions in this phase might be, I need to know if my vehicles are entering a congestion zone. I need to be able to allocate new jobs to the nearest driver. Maybe I can use the maps for this. I need my drivers to see the routes, and I need them to mark completed jobs. Very, very important. I need accurate navigation instructions. This can be another thing that's key to support those drivers. Let's not just send them out blind. Let's support them properly. And the communication to customers of ETAs and that whole communication piece as well. We need to know when things, what if things go wrong? because you can make a perfect plan, but on the day things can go wrong. So maybe one job overruns, maybe there's a car accident and a lane is closed on the road. So there's all these things that can disrupt these plans, right? This is the way it goes. And location intelligence, again, has that role to play. So just want to move on to the final phase of logistics now, which is analysis. So we've planned the perfect trips, the drivers have executed the jobs, the customers are satisfied, whatever, right? But what's next? So in addition to planning and monitoring use cases, we also see further requirements for the post-trip analysis piece. How can we make sense of this large volume of trip data we have and gain business insights? We've got all this data. How can we gain insights? What can we do with that data? The answer is quite a lot. So I need to know if my vehicles have been speeding is a key one. There's a lot of interest in that. I need to check toll receipts and congestion charges to see if they're correct. I need to see how our drivers are driving safely. Are they driving safely? You can't always rely on those old signs. Am I driving safely? The stickers. You've got to go beyond that. So how can I automate checking for planned route deviations? Those kind of things. How can we be certain our drivers are behaving as they should? And all of that piece. So that's the third piece, and that's analysis. So there's quite a lot there, quite a lot of questions that we might see in a typical inquiry. That's our headquarters. And the next phase is really just to identify solutions. Okay, once we have a good idea of the problem, that's where we can start to have a high-level overview and start to identify some solutions that customers could integrate. And these are solutions that the speakers this evening will take us through into more detail, which I'm really looking forward to. So just to look at the planning phase, I just want to marry up some of these problems to some here solutions that customers can start looking at straight away. So for private data, the here custom locations service will meet that requirement. Those custom locations can be mapped and they can be used. For any sort of geocoding of data, this is where the geocoding and search service will come in, and that will solve those problems. And we can tell customers that they can store and they can get accurate address validation from a company that standardizes its addresses and specializes in that address level data. Here, truck routing marries up nicely to the truck problem. Fantastic. The ETA tracker that here offers, that can take a lot of the pain out of managing ETAs for customers as well. So that's a very solid solution. And then we get on to the route optimization APIs. And the route optimization APIs are very, very popular and they're very, very powerful. So we have waypoint sequence for one driver, multiple stops. And then we have tour planning, multiple drivers, multiple stops. So we can take customers through these solutions, take them through the nuts and bolts of the service, and marry us up back to the problem that they identified at the beginning of the inquiry. Okay, we're not just talking about these solutions, we're talking about them with the customer's problems in mind, so we can make it real for them. And that's important, I find. So that covers the first phase. So let's look now at some of the monitoring problems typically. So congestion zone. Yeah, we can look at geofencing. We can map out any polygons and set up alerts around that. Geofencing is a very, very powerful tool in itself, and here has native geofencing tools. So customers can ease their development. They don't have to do so much development on their side. They can use here's geofencing tools, and they're very, very powerful. For allocating new jobs to the nearest driver, you have isoline routing. Not everybody knows what isoline routing is, so it's very, very useful to show that service to a customer. Oh, look, I have a realistic drive time polygon. So in this realistic drive time polygon, it doesn't matter if it's rush hour traffic. I know that I can pick out somebody that can get to another job within the 25-minute time. It's very, very popular. Am I allocating taxis? Am I getting the nearest driver to come and pick up some emergency freight? It doesn't matter. It's all possible. Now, the SDKs for mobile can also help with the monitoring piece. So if drivers are seeing their routes and marking completed jobs, there's an Explorer SDK for when they're out and about. They can mark where they are and they can see their routes. They can see all the instructions. They can see how the day is supposed to go, and they can help keep that schedule, that tight schedule, running effectively. If they need to navigate as well, there's a dedicated Navigate SDK for this as well. Okay, that's kind of jumped on a bit for some reason there. So, yep, and then the final piece around communication, we've got the fleet connectivity services, which can really help with some of the ETAs and the communication piece between the back office and the drivers. Let's get the messages up on the driver's devices straight away so they can have that communication. So now in terms of the analysis phase, I've identified some other solutions that here can offer for this phase, which is really important. The first key thing is the route matching service, because that can take the route and snap it to the road network. And once you've done that, it opens up a load of additional use cases, because you've got the route, it snaps to the most likely road network, and then you can pull in all the additional map attributes for the road. So if you need to know if your vehicles have been speeding, you can pull in here's speed limit data. Here has a very rich and deep set of data sets, and it's all lurking under an API call. So for the toll receipts, of course, there you can look at those toll locations along the route, and you can look at the charges, and you can marry those up. Using the curvature, high elevation of the road as well, you can produce a driver safety report. So here has you covered as well for the post-trip analysis phase, which is very, very important. And also, if you want to automate for those route deviations, you can use a batch mode on the route matching service. So it doesn't matter how many routes that you've got, you can pull them all in. And there you go. So you can take a look. And yep, just to answer on the chat there, maybe we'll look at that in a moment. But those are the typical problems we might see in terms of the different logistics phases. And hopefully that gives you a flavor of what we would start to do as we start to drill down into some of the potential solutions. So yeah, thank you very much for listening, everybody. Really appreciate it. Obviously, a bit of a teaser. So if you want to have a consultation, business consultation, by all means, I've left my contact details up there. Email me, call me, drop me a message on LinkedIn, get a call scheduled in. We'll have a talk around the business and then look at potential ways that we can put solutions in place and how you would use those as partners, because this is what we specialize in, partner licensing, how you can implement a technology and then scale it up in the lifetime of your applications. And also do check out the Grey Matter blog. It's aimed at the developer community, and we've got a lot there around cloud services and location services maintained by our lovely Julia. Thanks, everybody.